Hey everyone, let's talk about the spices sitting right there in your kitchen cabinet. Have you ever stopped to think about the crazy paradox of what's actually inside those little jars? Today, in this explainer, we're diving into the story of an incredibly delicate, towering rainforest herb that somehow manages to completely dominate both global luxury markets and, increasingly, modern medicine. Yep, we're talking about green cardamom. So you might be wondering, how exactly does this stately, super sensitive jungle plant derive such immense global value? Well, the secret is quite literally microscopic. It's all about these highly volatile oil molecules hidden deep inside its seeds. These tiny chemical compounds are so potent they dictate global trade flows, ancient cultural traditions, and even cutting-edge pharmaceutical developments. Here is our roadmap for today. We'll start with the queen of spices, then look at the architecture of a rainforest herb, dive into chemical synergy and seed anatomy, explore its clinical power and pharmaceutical benefits, and finally, zoom out to the global cardamom economy. Section 1. The Queen of Spices. Taxonomically, this plant goes by Elateria cardamomum. It's an elite, luxury trade item originally native to the incredibly biodiverse Cardamom Hills in southern India. And it is just fascinating to see how completely different regions of the world actually utilize this spice. On one hand, you have the Middle East, where cardamom is heavily steeped in coffee to create gahwa. That's a profound cultural symbol of hospitality and welcoming. But then, if you jump over to the Nordic countries like Sweden and Finland, cardamom completely bypasses the coffee pot. Instead, they use it as a foundational flavor element in sweet baked goods like cardamom abula. Same botanical source, totally different daily rituals. Section 2. Architecture of a rainforest herb. Now, to really grasp this, let's put on our botanist hats for a second and look at the actual physical structure of this plant. It's a clumping perennial herb in the ginger family, and its growth cycle is wonderfully complex. It all starts underground with these thick branching subterranean rhizomes. From those networks, it shoots up these overlapping leaf sheaths, forming erect pseudostems that can tower a massive 5 meters up into the rainforest canopy. Down at the base, you get these delicate, zygomorphic flowers blooming. They are asymmetrical, streaked with violet and pink, and structurally designed to facilitate highly specific pollination patterns. Eventually, that floral anatomy transitions into the economic prize, the triangular, three-sided seed capsules. What's really wild is just how demanding this plant is to cultivate on a farm. Look at these super narrow optimal ranges. You literally cannot just plant this anywhere. It requires a highly specific ecological niche in the rainforest, precise temperatures between 15 and 35 degrees Celsius, high altitudes, and a massive amount of evenly distributed rainfall. We're talking up to 4,000 millimeters a year. Plus, because the root system is quite shallow, it requires well-drained, acidic, humus-rich soil so it doesn't get waterlogged. Basically, it's an absolute diva of the agricultural world. But here is absolutely the most crucial point. Cardamom is what botanists call a sciaphilous plant. If you remember one thing about how it grows, remember that word. It literally translates to shade-loving. It absolutely requires a 40 to 50% filtered shade canopy from the surrounding rainforest trees. If you expose it to unmitigated direct solar radiation, the sun will completely scorch its delicate foliage and totally stunt the development of those precious seed capsules. Section 3. Chemical synergy and seed anatomy. Let's peel back that pale green, papery outer hull and take a look inside those 3 internal chambers. What you'll find are 15 to 20 dark angular seeds, all bound together by a sticky mucilaginous coating known as an aril. This aril is essentially nature's vault. It protects and concentrates the plant's essential oils right there in the seed, making up 6 to 10% of the entire seed mass. And that oil, it is a highly specific chemical cocktail. Almost half of it is alpha-terpenyl acetate, about 40% is 1,8-cineol, and the rest is rounded out by trace elements and powerful antioxidants like limonene and myrcene, which, by the way, are absolutely fantastic for neutralizing free radicals for better skin health. And right here is the brilliant juxtaposition that defines cardamom's pharmaceutical power. It's this beautiful chemical synergy between ester and ether molecules. Alpha-terpenyl acetate is an ester compound. It gives off that sweet floral aroma, but medicinally it provides profound antispasmodic and sedative effects. Right alongside it is 1,8-cineol, which is an ether molecule. This one provides a sharp, cantharous, cooling sensation and acts as a highly penetrative natural anti-inflammatory agent. Together, they create an incredibly formidable medicinal profile. Section 4. Clinical Power and Pharmaceutical Benefits. So stepping out of the kitchen and into the lab, we see that therapeutically, these microscopic volatile oils pack a massive punch. When we're talking cardiovascular and metabolic health, cardamom extracts are a heavyweight. They act as a calcium channel antagonist, literally relaxing intestinal smooth muscles, which is amazing for resolving irritable bowel symptoms. For cardiovascular health, it functions like a natural beta blocker, significantly reducing your blood pressure. And the clinical trials are wild. They show it dramatically suppresses hepatic lipid accumulation, making it a real potential tool against non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. All of this happens while downregulating major inflammatory biomarkers like TNF-alpha and actively improving insulin sensitivity levels. Oh, and its medicinal properties totally extend to oral hygiene too. Remember that ether molecule we mentioned, 1,8-sinole? Well, it actively targets and literally disrupts the cellular membranes of major periodontal pathogens, like Streptococcus mutans. So chewing on a pod to freshen your breath isn't just some old tradition. It is a scientifically proven bactericidal action that actively neutralizes oral infections. Clinical studies also prove just how incredible its gastrointestinal impact really is. Cardamom extracts actively protect the mucosal lining of your stomach. They inhibit lesions induced by harsh substances like ethanol and aspirin, and significantly reduce the overall volume of gastric acid secretions. This puts this ancient spice right in the crosshairs as a highly viable target for modern natural anti-ulcer medications. Section 5. The Global Cardamom Economy. Now, when you take all those profound health benefits and pair them with deep-rooted cultural demands, you end up with a massive, incredibly lucrative global trade. What's really fascinating here is the global economic divergence in production. On one side, we have Guatemala. Even though the plant isn't native there, Guatemala absolutely dominates the export market, commanding up to 70% of global trade. Their whole strategy? Producing a bright green, uniform, visually perfect cosmetic-grade pod. Now contrast that export-heavy model with India, the native home of the plant and the second largest producer. India consumes a whopping 80% of its own harvest domestically. Because of its massive role in Ayurvedic herbal medicine and daily chai traditions, the Indian market prioritizes incredibly high internal essential oil content over mere cosmetic aesthetics. So who exactly is buying up all of those Guatemalan exports? Well, a staggering 50% of the entire global supply is imported and consumed strictly by the Middle Eastern Gulf nations. Driven by those traditional gawa kafi rituals we talked about earlier, nations like Saudi Arabia are willing to pay massive premium prices to secure the largest, highest-grade, unblemished pods on the market. Meanwhile, there's a huge shift happening in Western Europe and North America. Modern industry professionals are completely bypassing the culinary spice rack altogether. Instead, fragrance experts and laboratories are using advanced techniques to systematically isolate and extract pure cardamom oleo resins directly from the seed capsules. These highly concentrated liquid extracts, which stabilize that volatile oil concentration to aid long-term medicinal efficacy, are being deployed globally into luxury fragrances, high-end aromatherapies, and concentrated herbal health supplements. It is a completely different application than your traditional whole pod culinary uses. Which leaves us with a pretty provocative thought to wrap up our explainer today. As the clinical demand for these powerful anti-inflammatory and metabolism-regulating pure oleo resins continues to skyrocket, is this highly sensitive, shade-loving rainforest herb destined to become just too economically valuable to remain a simple ground spice in our baking and coffee rituals? Honestly, only the global markets and the scientists can answer that. Thanks so much for learning with me today.